Welcome to the Enchanted Ears podcast.
Where we discuss anything and everything Disney.
I'm Angela.
And I'm Joe, and on today's episode, I am ditching Angela and taking a solo trip to Disney World. I guess
we're going to get to this in a minute.
I guess technically not today because it already happened, but I did take a solo trip.
Yeah.
To Disney World.
Yeah, why did you leave your queen behind and go to Disney World? We'll just kick right off. Why did you leave me here to go to work while you were down having a blast down in Disney World?
I went to Florida for a work conference. And so I went to the parks for a few days while I was down there. Now, I will say, spoiler alert, you did join me on the weekend. And so you did eventually come down. But there were a few days where I had a solo trip to Disney World, and I found it very eye-opening taking a solo trip, being a solo traveler, and I feel like I learned a lot from this that I would have never have thought about going with somebody, never having gone solo. And so it
about the depths of extreme loneliness that you had, probably that was probably one of the thoughts you had.
One may think, but I think it kind of changes, I think, how I will even do our trips going forward, because I think the things that I learned, you don't necessarily have to be a solo traveler. I think just the two of us could take advantage of some of this stuff. So we're going to get into it today about the benefits of a solo trip, kind of some of the lessons learned on that. Fill you in on what I did, because you don't even necessarily know the extent of the things I did.
I found some things out from your mother that you didn't tell me about because your mother was creeping on you, and it was hilarious.
We'll get into that, though. Real quick, some Disney news. The one piece of news I wanted to mention is that we have a date for the new nighttime parade at Magic Kingdom, the Disney Starlight Parade. It is going to be debuting July 20th.
Aww.
So that's very exciting. It's been a while since the Magic Kingdom has had a nighttime parade. Over at Disneyland, they have Paint the Night over there. So this is exciting. I think everybody's very excited about this. I'm very excited to see this. They released, I think it's the last float that has a bunch of characters on it. I think that's the only one they released. But this is exciting stuff that we're getting, kind of just another nighttime experience over at the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, it's been, we saw Paint. Have we seen Paint the Night?
Yeah, Paint the Night.
Yeah. And I was going to say the one that stands out to me was Tokyo Disney. They had the
Main Street electrical parade.
Yeah, they had the electrical, basically the electrical light
which I
parade,
believe
right?
Magic Kingdom had in the 90s. And so, this is something coming back. It'll be interesting. I don't know what time it's going to happen, because you have Happily Ever After, which people line up for about 3 hours ahead of time. I learned. And so if you have this, people are going to be lined up for that. And then does it roll right into Happily Ever After? It'll be an interesting kind of crowd management thing to see how, what time all of this runs.
Yeah, or are they going to run it in a different area of the park just to move out the crowds or something?
The parade route is right down Main Street.
I know, but
it doesn't get dark until 8 or 8:30, so you got to figure.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
My guess is Magic Kingdom's going to stay open longer. They'll run the parade maybe 8:30, Happily Ever After maybe at 10. They're going to have
they're going to have some spacing.
Yeah, they need some time in between these.
Well, yeah, people sit right down Main Street. That's where that's some of the prime viewing areas.
Right. Or again, you go early, you see the parade, and you just stay there, and you roll right into Happily Ever After. It'll be interesting to see how Disney kind of runs this.
Yeah, well, but I'm excited about it.
I'm excited too.
I hope we get. I know it's not the Electric Light Parade, but I hope we get Baroque Hoedown in there somehow, in some form.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they, in some of the, social media, they played kind of clips of that, or pieces of it. I believe there is a new song for this. I did not listen to that, though. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see kind of how they kind of tie all this in.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, so let's get into my solo trip. So, as I said, I was down there for a conference, and the first thing I will say, so I stayed off site when I was down there. I stayed at the Gaylord Palms Hotel and Convention Center, which is massive. I think I read it's like 14 acres. It is huge. I feel like I got lost every day until the last day, and then I finally felt like I was like, I know where I'm going, and I was like, oh, this is the day I'm leaving.
You're like a new kid at high school.
Yeah.
Like just wandering around looking for your classrooms. No, it looked amazing. I mean, I didn't see it, but you did FaceTime me, and I really enjoyed. They had like an atrium with like lots of plants. They had alligators inside. I think you said.
Yeah, they had a lot of animals. Yeah, the whole middle of it is a giant atrium with a glass roof. There are alligators in there. There are fish. So they do alligator feedings. They do fish feedings. I believe there's like an interactive game for children to play.
And adults, hopefully.
Because at one point, like I walked into this like kind of cave area in the middle, and there were these like little like vignettes behind glass of like, there was like pirate stuff. There was this like really like freaky looking doll, like a possessed looking doll thing. But there was little like QR codes on it. And I think I saw somewhere that they have some sort of like game you could play. It seems like a really great resort. There's like a whole marketplace, a ton of restaurants. There's a water park there. Like it seemed like a cool place to stay. We've talked before about like staying on site versus staying off site. And it was interesting to kind of stay off site because the downside of this, it was very close actually to Disney, but the downside of this is there's no Disney transportation. And so you have their transportation, but their shuttle doesn't run kind of constantly throughout the day. So like we've stayed at other hotels that have like a more frequent shuttle, but they had a shuttle. It left in the morning a couple times. I think like, maybe like 7, 8 or 9.
I was going to say, I think you told me, like 7, 8, 9. And then at the end of the day,
and then at the end of the
day,
it picked up late.
Too.
So like I was at a conference all day. And so like if I wanted to go in the evenings to the parks, like when I went at like 5 o'clock, I couldn't take the shuttle. So I needed to, get a lift or something to get over there. Now I could take the shuttle back. But again, it's like the timing of it, you have to know kind of what time it's going to be there. They wanted you to make a reservation, but the reservations really didn't seem to matter. Like you could kind of just show up at any time. The other thing is when you stay off property, like Disney does not really care about you, I feel like, because where you pick these shuttles up, not well marked, like nowhere near the Disney transportation. Like if you go to Disney Springs, it's the complete opposite end of Disney Springs. It's back by the lifts where you get picked up and dropped off, but like it's not marked. Magic Kingdom, you have to take the TTC and again walk over to where all of the like lifts and Ubers and ride shares are, and then there are spots like for the different buses to pull up, and so you kind of have to know like what bus stop am I getting, but there's nobody there, so you don't know, did I miss the bus, did it come early, did it come late. So that was a little that's a little frustrating and takes some getting used to. So I would say like the thing I learned is if you're staying off property at a place like this, one, know kind of the shuttle schedule, but two, you also have to kind of know like what's near each other, because the shuttle didn't go to Epcot. Like there was no shuttle to Epcot. So if you're new, you're like, how do I get to Epcot? You don't know. It goes to the TTC, and then you could take the monorail to Epcot. You could take the monorail to the Magic Kingdom. But like if you don't know that stuff, it can be kind of confusing of like, well, how do I get to this park? How do I get to kind of places like this? So definitely kind of keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And like for somebody like me, like I feel like that would be really irritating. And I also do wonder if you factored in the cost of a lift, like how much, like you didn't save any money, but it was because your company was paying for it. Like in the Gaylord Palms is expensive and nice.
Yeah, you're not saving money staying there.
Yeah, like that's not going to be a place that people are like, I'm going to go to Disney World and I'm going to stay at the Gaylord Palms and save money. You're better off staying on Disney property. But it is interesting because, yeah, if you like picked like a more budget hotel, I mean, I think we've gone and we've stayed. I think the last time we did this was when we did the Disney cruise. We stayed at, I don't know if it was a Holiday Inn or or Marriott.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends. Like Swan and Dolphin, they're right basically on Disney property. They don't have Disney buses though because they're run by Marriott. But their buses I saw were running constantly. So like they're constantly running like it's a Disney bus. Now again, it's not going to take you to the front of the Magic Kingdom, but it's more frequent. We've stayed over at like Disney Springs, which again, if you're at Disney Springs, if the hotel doesn't have a shuttle, you can kind of just walk over to Disney Springs and basically get to where you need to go. And that's kind of the other thing you need to know is like, you don't necessarily have to go to the theme park. Like if you're trying to get to the Magic Kingdom and you're at Disney Springs, go to the Contemporary.
Yeah.
Or you can or any hotel.
Or the Poly,
Yeah,
or any of them
and you
that are
can take the
along
monorail.
the monorail line.
Or go to Caribbean Beach and get the Skyliner to Hollywood Studios and Epcot. Like, you just kind of have to know more options of transportation when you're staying off property.
I actually think that that's an interesting thing. I actually think that knowing the different transportation routes in Walt Disney World is maybe more valuable than actually knowing the layout of the parks. Because you can get a map on the parks, but like that other thing is like, you know, knowing the transportation routes, what hotels have buses, what hotels have the Skyliner going to them, what hotels have the monorail. Like those three things for a Disney newbie, like those would actually be the things that I never really thought about it, but things that I would probably have to recommend, like, hey, just know that this is what's along the monorail. This is what's, because, and then like also like, you know, we've struggled before finding things to eat in Magic Kingdom, and it's like, well, you're not limited to what's in the Magic Kingdom. You can go out to the hotels. It's not a very long trip, and then come right back. So yeah, like I think I never really thought about that before. I didn't even do the experiment that you did, and I'm learning things.
It's especially important, especially if you're trying to get like to or from Disney Springs from a theme park, because there's no direct buses. Mm-hmm. But again, you can just get to a hotel very quickly and then take a bus to Disney Springs. So
yeah,
or vice versa.
Yeah, I mean, you could take whatever bus comes first, or if you wanted to try to get closer, you could just find the hotel that's closest to whatever park you're trying to visit, and then
it's just kind of knowing that. So the transportation was a little rough. I took a lift to Epcot one time, and he got lost completely. Like, I was in the Epcot parking lot, but I wasn't in the rideshare spot, and he somehow then got to the point where he had to exit Epcot and drive like miles down the road the other way to spin around, and it took an extra like 15 minutes of just driving around.
I'm glad that happened when I wasn't there.
I was like, I was right there, because he, like, I don't know, I think he pretended like he knew where he was going, but he had no idea, and so he got in the wrong spot. It was,
I mean, I would have been like, I'm in the parking lot, just leave me here and I'll walk.
Well, I thought he was driving over to the ride share, and I think he thought that too, and then it's like, oh no, this is exit only, and then it was crazy.
I feel like with the races, we've been around Epcot enough that you should have caught on. I wouldn't catch on, but
why didn't
you?
I mean, I knew he wasn't in the right spot, but then he asked somebody, and I don't think he was just paying attention. Like, I think he heard, like, he was just trying to rush. I don't know. So that was fun, but
yeah, I'm glad I wasn't there for that.
Yeah,
I would have been raging silently in the back seat.
I don't really care. I mean, I wasn't like in a hurry, like, to get anywhere.
Yeah.
So it was just like, whatever, but it was just kind of sitting there like, okay. And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry, I don't know what happened. And I'm like, yeah, you just made the wrong turn.
Nice. Do you have anything else like that you want to talk about that you maybe did? I know you did different experiments and things, but anything else about like just staying in a hotel outside of Walt Disney World property that you thought was intriguing?
I mean, that was like the big thing, is just like the transportation. It was a super nice hotel, again, with a water park and stuff. Like, it's a very nice hotel if you're somebody, and it's run by Marriott. So like, if you're somebody that's like, I'd rather stay at a Marriott, I have points or something. And there's a lot there to do. Like, if you have kids, again, if you're going to say, hey, I'm going to have a day or two where I just spend at the resort, or maybe you're going to Universal some days, or you're doing other Orlando attractions and you're just not going to Disney every day. It was a really nice
Did they have a
hotel.
Shuttle to Universal as well?
They did it. But what I'm saying is, you could take a lift. Like, if you're going to, hey, I'm going to take a lift and I'm going to go to, Universal, or, I'm going to go to like the iDrive that they have, and I'm only going to Disney a couple days, and I want other things to do, because again, there's multiple restaurants. They had a Cold Stone Creamery in there. Like, there was a lot of cool stuff to do at that hotel. It seemed pretty nice. It's just, if you're going exclusively to Disney, it's just a little bit more difficult to get back and forth.
So how much did you spend? Because you said that, you were only going to the park because you had things that you had to go to during the day. How much were you spending daily just to go to the park for a few hours?
Well, I mean, it was a lift. I mean, the lifts were, I don't know, like $10 or something, maybe 10,
Oh,
$12.
that's not bad. And
It's not too bad. And typically what I could do is I would go in the evening, so I would take a lift to the parks, and then I would get the shuttle back. Because there's usually always shuttles like late at night. It was really just kind of like the middle of the day, afternoon, early evening. If you wanted to go back and forth, you couldn't take a shuttle. Basically, the shuttles were set up. You go first thing in the morning, and you stay until the park closes, and then they came and picked you up. So I was able to go, I'd stay for like the fireworks show or whatever, and then I'd catch the shuttle coming back. So that worked out okay.
And in park tickets? I mean, I know the answer to this,
Yeah, well, I had
but
the
people,
annual pass.
yeah, I was going to say,
with
people,
our annual
I was
passes,
asking
yeah.
for the benefit of the listener because they might not know. But yeah, because it was funny, even whenever I heard you were going to the parks at first, I was like, how is he going to the parks? Like, he's only going for a few hours at a time. That doesn't seem like very cost effective. And I'm like, oh, we have annual passes this year, so it makes sense. But yeah, any casual listener who like maybe doesn't listen to every episode might not realize that and be like, dude, this bro is like spending how much money, like how much is a Disney park ticket now?
Yeah. Well, that
to go for a
that
couple
is one of
hours.
the nice things. So we did have the annual pass this year. We do have it. We still actively have the annual pass. And it's really nice because going and knowing you have the annual pass and like you're not paying every day you go. And basically we've paid for the annual pass because we went for like marathon weekend and stuff. So it's basically covered. It kind of allows you to like slow down. Like I feel like so much
Yeah.
when we would go to Disney, it's like we're here for 4 days. We have to do absolutely everything. And we have to do rope drop to the nighttime show and just go, 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 go. Don't spend any time at the hotel. Like we have to be in the parks 100%, always doing stuff. And I feel like probably if you're going on vacation, you are paying a lot of money. You're like, I need to get my money's worth out of this. With the annual pass, it was nice because it was kind of like, oh yeah, I'm just going. Like I'm not paying any extra to go today. So if I go for a few hours and I ride 1 or 2 attractions and maybe get something to eat, it's fine. Like it became a much more casual, laid back experience because I wasn't worried about like quote unquote getting my money's worth out of it. And it was really nice. I mean, like overall, I feel like I really enjoyed this trip because this is the first time I've gone. And then again, you did come down on the weekend. So like the first time we've been there in probably a year or so that we weren't down there for a Run Disney race.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of forgot how much fun Disney is at night, especially.
Yeah. And we don't get to do that.
And not having to get up at 2 a.m. Yeah. And, be asleep at 7 o'clock at night because you're getting up at 2 a.m. the next day for the races.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was so much fun. And it kind of like reminded me what I love about the parks and what I love about being at Disney. Because I do feel like just having gone for Run Disney, you're there and you're so focused on the races that you kind of, the parks become almost, I don't want to say a burden, but like for lack of a better word, like a burden of like, okay, I got to go to the parks because I'm here. Like it's silly for me to not go to the parks, but at the same time, it's like, I can only be here for a few hours. I'm kind of tired from running. I don't want to walk too much because then it's going to, mess up my race. And it's like, it kind of becomes a bit of a struggle. Whereas this, it was just like, go do whatever you want. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. You basically have already done an event and then you're doing another event by going to a park and you're just already, exhausted. I mean, this is getting a little off topic, but did I fall asleep during Carousel of Progress?
No, I think you stayed awake. I think this is the one time you stayed awake during Carousel of
And
Progress.
that's because we haven't gone to Disney without for a race, like not a race.
Yeah.
And so I actually had enough energy to stay awake during Carousel of Progress.
I will say though, it was so hot down there. It was like 100
gosh.
degrees every day and so humid that it felt like you were running a race. Like the amount of sweat every single day. Like you were tired just from that. It was
crazy.
It was nuts. Just being outside.
Well, even like we rode Tiana's, and I was like, I had to think about it, because I'm like, do I want to get wet? And I'm like, if this was like just straight up heat, you know, I know from being like a running coach, like if this was straight up heat, like topical cooling is a thing, and like getting wet will help. But with the humidity, when you're getting like wet, your body's cooling system doesn't work effectively, because the cold doesn't like evaporate off your skin. So I pulled out my poncho just to keep from getting like more thoroughly soaked, because I'm like, it's not even gonna do me any good, and I'm gonna walk around and be miserable and wet, but not cool.
We didn't even get wet though. I mean, on Tiana's.
I mean, I would have gotten my shirt would have.
We heard a
wet.
lot of people that were like, "You're gonna get soaked on it."
But we also, I think,
didn't.
ended up in the row that I swear that our VIP guide said go into that row. But it was the fourth row.
I feel like nobody got that wet. It wasn't like
nobody in ours did, but we've seen other people get off. I think we must have had a either well distributed by weight car or light people or something that we did not get that wet. Like the only thing that got very wet on me was my face.
Yeah.
I like put my sunglasses down, and I'm glad I did, because I was wearing makeup.
It's not like Cali River Rapids where it's like you go under waterfalls and basically like you could just get absolutely drenched.
Yeah.
On that, like Tiana's you could get wet, but like I feel like people were talking like it's so much worse than Splash Mountain. Like you're gonna get. I didn't see that. Now maybe again we got lucky.
I think we got lucky.
We'll have to ride it again and see. So the other thing, and this is interesting because it's been a while since we've been there in the summer, because again we've been going for like races and stuff. I forgot how much fun the summer is. Like the parks are just so much more lively. Epcot has all of the like international cast members at all of the countries, which just like adds another like level of detail to it. Like it's fun riding Remy when all the cast members have a French accent. Like it's just so much more authentic. They have a lot more entertainment in the parks. It was just a fun reminder of like going during the summer at a different time. Now again, it was hot, so like it wasn't a great time necessarily from that perspective, but like there's just a different vibe at Disney, you know, depending on like what time of year you go.
Your dad and I rode Remy to escape the rain, because it was pouring down rain, and I'm like, well, the closest thing to here is basically going over to Ratatouille and riding that. So we ran over there.
Didn't rain until you came.
I know. I brought all the rain. So it's been raining in Pennsylvania, and then we left and went to Florida. Now it wasn't a solid rain. It was like every day it rained like late afternoon, some like into the evening. But yeah, it rained a good bit, and then when we came back, we brought the rain with us, so it was great.
I think you did. It followed you.
I think it was me.
I was down there. It was sunny every day.
Maybe I'm Tia Pepa. Like I just I don't know. I feel like my mood has been bright and sunny though for the past several days, because it was the end of the school year.
Maybe you're like the anti. Like it's reversed for you.
It's the opposite.
Yeah.
So okay. So back to your solo trip. So all right. So your mom and I were talking, because we both were missing you, and your mom's not typically super chatty, and I'm also not super chatty, but we got on the phone with each other, and she says, Joe's been over by Spaceship Earth like all day. Every time I check on him, have you noticed that? And I said, well, I haven't really been checking up on where he is, but that's interesting, because I was on the phone with him and he did have to get off because he was getting on. So
I need to turn off Find My iPhone.
I know, right? So my question to you is, like, this then revealed, because you said, I was going to reveal this to you on the podcast live. You were running some sorts of ride experiments. So please talk about these ride experiments. And there might even be things I don't know, but I just know you rode Spaceship Earth a lot.
I rode Spaceship Earth all day one day. So I got about, I think that day, a dozen rides in on it. Maybe it might have been a couple more. I think all in all, the whole week
it was over 12. It was at least 12. I think you told me. I
think all in all, while I was down there, I rode Spaceship Earth probably 15 to 16 times. But in that day, I think it was about a dozen.
That's insanity.
So I went down the weekend before, so this wasn't just like in the evening. So this was I think like Sunday. I spent the whole day riding Spaceship Earth. Now you probably are thinking like 12 times isn't a lot, right? Like how was that all day? Spaceship Earth is like a 15-minute ride. I was hoping to ride it more. Like, I was actually kind of disappointed I only got 12 rides in. The problem was, early in the day, it was a 45-minute wait. I was only getting about one ride an hour in, because I would, it's a 15-minute ride, 45-minute wait. It was about one time an hour, so I'd get out, get back in line. Towards the afternoon and evening, it dropped down to about 10 or 15-minute wait, so I was able to get like 2 or 3 in an hour. But I rode Spaceship Earth all day. Never got boring, which was the interesting thing. It never got boring. I went on it again when you came down, so that's why I said I probably rode it like 15, 16 times overall. It never got boring, which is like super interesting, because you would think like you're sitting riding this ride constantly, like, is it going to get boring?
Why did you do this? Why did you pick Spaceship Earth of all of the rides that you could ride over and over again? And I believe you actually rode another ride many times that I also would not pick to ride many times.
Are you talking about Remy?
No.
What other ride?
I believe you. I thought you told me you rode Carousel multiple times too.
Not in a row.
Not like what you did with Spaceship Earth.
I was probably on Carousel Progress maybe 3 times this trip total.
I mean, even that is a lot.
I think 3 times total.
So you rode it twice on your own?
Yes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I rode it twice on my own.
Okay, so back to the Spaceship Earth thing.
Yeah,
why?
So while I was down there, filmed a lot of content for kind of our main YouTube channel. We filmed some stuff together. I filmed some stuff on my own. So
I have no idea what this is either.
That should be coming out in the next couple months. I have to edit all of this stuff. So if you're interested, Enchanted Ears on YouTube. So we have Enchanted Ears podcast, which this is on. Enchanted Ears is kind of the main channel. Go subscribe. We're going to kind of relaunch that channel. We haven't posted much there probably this past year, but we're going to post some stuff. So my plan was, Spaceship Earth has different endings in it. They have that whole thing where you can pick your future. And so I was like, I want to ride it and see every ending. That was kind of my initial idea. And then I did some quick math and I was like, there's 200 endings to this thing. There's no way I can ride that in a day, because again, it's a 15-minute ride. There's just not enough time in the day to ride it.
Well, you were telling me that there is... Because there's several different options.
Right.
And then some of the options have options within them. So it's because I asked you.
So that's what I didn't know.
Because, that's what I asked you. Because I'm like, well, can't you? I'm like, it's been a long time since we took calculus and you were my homework help. But I was like, this sounds kind of like a permutation or something. Like you could do a permutation and figure out how many endings there were. But then, because some of them have these unpredictable endings, then you actually, there's more options than there seem to be. Okay.
Yeah. So I initially, my idea for the day was I'm going to ride Spaceship Earth all day to get all of the different endings. And then I did some preliminary research, watched some videos. And from what I could tell, based on some ride videos, I was like, okay, I think there's 200, 250 different endings. I was like, there's no way I can ride it 250 times. It's just, it's not going to make sense. I'm going to get, again, I got a dozen. It doesn't make sense. So I was like, but let me ride it all day and try to figure out how many different endings there are. Because again, I hadn't seen anything that kind of showed all the endings. I have to calculate it, but yes, I initially thought it was 250. It was seeming like that. I was riding and I was like, okay, yeah, it's making sense. It's about 256, I think was the number. And then on my 8th ride or 9th ride or something like that, I was clicking through and I was like, hold on. I think these options are different, because I kind of went through and picked the first option every ride. Then I started picking the second option. I was like, I think these are different. So I went back and watched some of the video that I took and I was like, oh no. I was like, these are different options. And so, I thought the first...
So they were different options than... clarify that a little bit?
So you pick, I think initially it's home, work, leisure, and health, or what are you most interested in? And then from there, because there's 5 different questions it asks you. So you pick home, and then it asks you, there's 2 options in each. And so I went through, I picked home, and I just picked the first option on every one. Then I picked work, and then I picked the first option, to go through and see. And based on that, I said 256. So then I went home and then I picked the second option. And I thought all of the other options would stay the same, but for some of them they change. So if you pick, I think one's like you care about, like you're worried about your pets or like your house. And if you pick house, it then gives you different options later than if you pick pets. So there are thousands potentially more endings to this. So I got to like go through and calculate all the numbers. But I was like, going through, I was like, hold on, this is different. Like, I know this didn't ask me this. And so I wrote it as many times as I could. I think I got all of the options down. So I'm going to go and calculate it. But in my mind, I'm like, what Imagineer thought, let me like make this that has thousands of, like, there's no point to it. Who's going to go through and see all these different like combinations, and they have a little animation video and stuff? Like, it's insane. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, even the one time I wrote it with your dad. You were behind us, and he did I let him pick it, and he did some combination that we have never done. And I think we were like on a mountain and doing all kinds of like snow, like the skiing, snowboard.
Yeah, you get hurt on the mountain, and it uses nanotechnology. I've seen a lot of these.
Yeah.
But so now my goal is I got to calculate this. I'm going to make a video on it. I want to see them all now. Because now I'm like, some Imagineer invented all of these. They created this. There's thousands of options. They need to be seen. We need to catalog this and see this entire thing.
It's like a Pokedex. Like you have to catch them all. You have to see them all.
The other thing I did is I rode one day every bus route from Disney Springs.
I was going to ask you about
I just spent the whole day on the bus.
From Disney Springs?
From Disney Springs. I went to Disney Springs in the morning, and I just got on the bus that was there, went to wherever it went, walked around, came back. I was trying to ride every single bus. I think there's 18 buses total to 21 or 22 different resorts, because some of them are shared. Like, you go to one bus goes to the Poly and the Grand Floridian. So like I take it to the Poly, walk to the Grand Floridian, take the bus back. Just all day, ride them all. That's going to be another video. I won't tell you if I got to all of them or not.
Oh, well, that's rude.
You got to watch the video.
That's rude, sir.
But I will say, man, did I find some resorts we need to stay at.
I was just going to ask you, what was the most surprising thing that you learned from riding around the different hotels? Did any stand out or blend in?
The most surprising thing I learned is it takes a lot longer than I thought. Because I was thinking like, they're going to be quick bus rides. Like it should be pretty easy to kind of like get through all of these in a day. But these buses take a lot longer to travel than you think. I didn't really wait long for a bus because I would just go to whatever one was there. I was like, I haven't been on that bus yet. Let me hop in on that one. But there's a lot more hotels that have like multiple stops, like Old Key West. I went to Old Key West and I was coming back. I think it took 15 minutes just to get out of Old Key West because I had to stop at 5 different internal bus stops. So that was the most surprising thing. It took a while. But the other thing was just the hotels. I mean, like, there is a dramatic difference between value and deluxe in terms of just vibes of the hotel, in terms of just like how secluded some of these things are. I mean, even it's a moderate, but like Port Orleans, Riverside, and French Quarter. Never been over there. It's like right on the water. There's nothing else around it. It's so quiet. It's so themed. The French Quarter's themed just like kind of New Orleans. The Riverside is kind of, it's like the mansions of there. Completely different vibe. I was walking around. There was just a random horse pulling a carriage walking through the resort, and I was just like, "What is this?" Like, I heard like click clack.
What's this?
Yeah.
There's clumping in the air.
It was like towards the end of the day, and I was like, trying to get through these as quick as I could, and I just hear this like click clack, and I go, "There's just a horse pulling like somebody on a carriage just in the middle of this resort." It was crazy. So yeah, I told you, I was like, we have to like start staying at all these different resorts because there's so many cool ones out there. I mean, even the Valley. I mean, even like the All Stars and stuff. Like, I ate at All Star Movies, and their food court. Their food game has stepped up like crazy. It was a half a roasted chicken, and I think it was rice and beans. It was like $14, and I was like, this is one delicious. The price was not crazy, and I was like, this is coming from All Stars. Like the resorts have really stepped up. So
Well, this is actually something that we noticed on our trip in general was the price of food. You know, people used to complain about like theme park food being super expensive, and there were multiple meals that we had. Like there were some that were expensive, but there were some meals that we had that were like, I don't think we could go out to our local restaurants anymore and get like we would pay. This is what we would pay.
Well, I think that's what happened. I think inflation, everything else has gotten more expensive and it's caught up to Disney, because it was always that. It was always like, oh, you're going to Disney and you're spending $15 or $20 for a hamburger and fries, or like, you know, you're getting a chicken tender meal and it's $15, and it's like, this is so expensive. This is so expensive. Now, yeah, when you go to your local restaurant,
At least where we live. I mean, it might not be the same as quite as bad everywhere else, but at least where we live,
but I think
our prices have gone up so much.
Everywhere else has gotten more expensive. That like Disney doesn't seem like they've really raised their prices yet. Now I think eventually they may have to raise their prices. But yeah, I was kind of surprised at like how reasonable a lot of this stuff seemed. Again, not that it's not expensive, but it's just like everything else has gotten so expensive. Disney
that it was
now,
on par.
Yeah, Disney now seems more reasonable.
Yeah. So I do have a question about like this experiment that you ran. Why did you choose as your hub Disney Springs? Like, why didn't you go from like, I don't know, from Disney Springs to Caribbean Beach to like Animal Kingdom and then to somewhere else, like to like try to get somewhere like a little bit faster, like, or like plan out your routes? Or was it just that you wanted Disney Springs because maybe you wanted to eat stuff at Disney Springs?
I wanted to ride all of the bus routes. And so Disney Springs, I mean, I guess I could have done it from like one park, but if you start adding parks and now you're multiplying how many bus routes exponentially there are. So I was just like, I'm going to do it from one spot, and Disney Springs was just kind of a good central spot versus kind of like going, you know, back and forth to the parks. I could have picked a park because it takes you to all the resorts and stuff, but Disney Springs was just kind of like an easy spot to get to.
So is it actually, because I always picture Disney Springs as very far away. Is it centralized? I always thought it was like more in the corner, kind of far away from everything.
It is in the
which
corner.
is why it kind of surprises me that you chose it, because I'm sure you could probably find one of the parks that's a little more central.
It is kind of in the corner, but it's near, like it goes to Typhoon Lagoon. It's really close to Typhoon Lagoon. Old Key West, Port Orleans are all right by Disney Springs. You can actually take boats to Disney Springs. It's not too far away from the All Stars, like Pop Century, Art of Animation, those hotels. You know, it's kind of far away from the Magic Kingdom resorts, but Magic Kingdom's also far. Like, it's really not too bad in terms of it. I mean, the other place you could go would be like, the more central place is like Epcot, Hollywood Studios. Like one of those is kind of the closest that you could probably do.
Yeah.
So
okay. Oh, that makes sense.
I will say, speaking of food, so we were talking about like food prices and everything. The one thing that I didn't make any reservations, because like I'm just gonna see if you're just a solo traveler how difficult it is to go eat wherever you want to eat. Like I didn't want to like plan ahead too much. It was so easy. It was unbelievable. I ate at the Boathouse. I went to Beaches and Cream, which are places that you typically make reservations for. I walked up to the Boathouse. They're like, it's an hour wait. You could go sit at the bar. I walked up to the bar. Within 30 minutes, I had my food and my check, and I was done. Like, It was insane how quickly, like, once I got seated, I got service and everything. Same with Beaches and Cream. I was just like, I'm just going to do the walk up to Beaches and Cream. I was one. They sat me at the counter right there. I got to watch them making all of the ice creams and everything. And probably within 30, 40 minutes, had all my food, paid, ready to go, and I was out.
How was your frozen sunshine?
It was good. They changed the orange slices on it though, which makes me a little bit sad. So
I had a text message from Joe saying that they changed their orange slices, and he was distraught. Don't let him fool you. He was absolutely distraught, and I was too, because we always they always had like really thin slices that actually look like
oranges.
But they were like thin, and I don't know, they were like half a circle.
What it was like if you get the candied like watermelon slices, like have you ever seen those? It's those, but they're oranges.
Orange.
Yeah, now they have those like thick kind of
the thick ones that actually
pieces,
look like an
they look
like
piece.
Yeah, they look like a clementine piece. Like they're small, but they're meant to look like that. And I don't think those are as good. There's not as much like surface area for the sugar.
Yeah.
So it's just
So that was a little bit disappointing. But yeah, I was really just surprised of like how easy it was just to get into any of these restaurants, and how quickly like they turn it around when it's just one person.
Well, each additional person I think added to, because even when I was with you, I felt like I noticed when your dad was in like walking around with us, or we were getting seated, or we were going up to rides, like it was more frequent that they needed 2 riders, or like you and I did single rider line for oh my goodness, what was it? Smuggler's Run, and we ended up on the exact same car because like they just needed 2 people and we got to go on together.
Single rider line is an absolute game changer.
Oh, absolutely.
That was the other thing. I was like, I'm going to try all of the single rider lines to see if it really saves you time. Because I was like, there's no way this works as well as people claim it works. Like, they're like, oh, you can save. I mean, I think I Googled it, and Google AI told me, like, you could save 80% of the wait time. I was like, there's no way I'm saving that much time. An absolute game changer, single rider line. So the current ones are Everest, Remy, and then there's 3 at Hollywood Studios. You have Rise of the Resistance, Smuggler's Run, and Rock and Roller Coaster. Test Track, I think, also had a single rider line, but it's obviously closed right now. I rode all of those. I rode Remy. I think the standby wait was like 25 or 30 minutes. Went the single rider line. Literally, I was the only person in line, walked on in probably 3 minutes. And I was like, this is insane. I'm just going to keep riding. I think I rode it 3 times, and it probably took me a half an hour. So like in the amount of time you could have waited in the standby line, I rode it 3 times. Smuggler's Run was insane, because I think, we did the single rider line because I was like, let's just go hop in there because that'll save us some time. We ended up getting on the same ride, so we didn't even get split up. But I think when I did it earlier, I want to say it was like it was an hour wait. I feel like easy. I think I waited like 5 minutes. Like, wow. It's the amount of time you can save for a single rider is phenomenal. And this is one of the things where it's like, I think, this, and even with the dining, will kind of change, I think, how I approach our future trips. Again, just because it's 2 of us. I think if you had a family of 4, some of the stuff is
Or if you have little
difficult.
kids and you can't be separated from them. Yeah.
But, like, we go to the boathouse often, and we would always make reservations. I don't really see a need to make reservations anymore. They have 3 bars there that you can just walk up to.
And I actually it is interesting. Like, neither you or I are like big drinkers. I'll drink occasionally. You don't really very much, but I actually do enjoy a bar atmosphere, though. I like the high chairs. I like the TVs. I like sitting next to you. I think that might be even some of it. And I like watching people who are like doing food service do their thing. Like if there's like a chef's table or at the bar, like you get to watch them prepare drinks, and it's almost like a form of entertainment, because it's just like, one, like they're working so hard and you get to see that, and it's like cool to see them like mixing the different things. Sometimes they do like fun little things, and a lot of the time people who go into like bartending are really friendly people, so I enjoy that experience. So yeah, like I think, with your, like what you kind of said, I would, and like what we do that sometimes when we go out to eat at home.
Yeah.
So like we could just do that in Disney.
Right. But as easy as it was to find one seat, there's usually 2 seats available at the bar. The nice thing with the boathouse, they have an outdoor bar too. So you can even like sit outside on the water, which is like a super nice environment.
If it's not 5 million% humidity.
If it's not very hot. But like, I think this will change where frequently we made a lot of reservations for places we wanted to go. I think there's, places if they don't have a bar or something, you're still going to have to make reservations. But I think, it's easier to get into some of these things. The single rider line, again, is another, I think, game changer on how we approach things. Again, you run the risk of getting split up, which I think is fine. If we have, you can stand in line together. That's the thing.
The standing in line is what takes so long. You're on the ride for, if it's a long ride, 15 minutes, but it's none of those are single rider lines. All the rides that are single rider lines are a much shorter ride experience. So for the most part, you're not interacting much on the ride.
Yeah. But if you can save a half an hour, 40 minutes, it's worth it. It's interesting. Like I don't know why they have the rides they have on single rider lines and not others. Like Aerosmith, terrible single rider line. I waited longer in the single rider line than I did if I would have just gotten in the standby line. But that was the only one. And that makes sense because that's just two people. Like frequently there's groups of two. Like you have to have a group of 3, 5, something like that to need a single rider. There's a lot of groups of 2s and 4s. Everest, I didn't wait too long, even though it's kind of a similar idea. But so I don't know why they do single riders on Aerosmith and Everest, but they don't do single riders on Space Mountain or Tron. When they're roller coasters, and it's then you do something like Rise of the Resistance, which I can see maybe you have a group of 4, so you need 2 single riders or something. But why don't they do that on Mickey and Minnie's? It's just odd, kind of which ones they have it on and which ones they don't. But it's definitely
surprises
worth it.
Me more than anything because I feel like Rise and Smuggler's Run even attracts more of a crowd and the lines get a little bit more out of control. I think
that's why some of it.
But Aerosmith, I guess it does. We don't typically ride that. You rode it this time. I did not ride it.
So much fun. It was so much fun. It's been a while since I rode it. It was a ton of fun. Really looking forward now to it being Muppets. Because I will definitely ride that again. It is something that typically we don't ride because it is a long line. And again, not that the single rider line saved me any time, but it was a lot of fun.
Well, if they're keeping the playing the music feature, I hope that they do the Muppets version of Bohemian Rhapsody. Mama!
I think that's the idea. I think the idea is that they have different Muppet songs on there. We did get to see Muppet Vision.
We did.
One last time.
We did.
Say goodbye to Muppet Vision, so we're gonna miss that. But
cute.
Looking forward to the redo over at Aerosmith there.
Yeah. So my final question for you is, what did you enjoy the most about being in Disney by yourself, and why did you cry every day without your loving wife there?
Well, I think I'll answer the first question. I didn't cry.
Wait, that was the second question. Glad to see that you can count.
I meant I'll answer the second question. I think I was crying because of the heat. Quite honestly, I think it might have been. Your skin
was crying.
Yeah, my skin. my skin was definitely crying. Yeah, I think what the best part of it was, I think a couple things. I think one, it was just the time of year going, not being there for Run Disney. Like I said, it was kind of just remembering how much fun the parks can be. They completely change when they have more live entertainment, when they have the international cast members there. It's a whole different vibe to Disney that you don't get Marathon Weekend. It was a lot of fun. It kind of just reminded me how much fun the parks could be. And I think just kind of learning some of these things, again, that I think can help us on our trips of you don't need to make a reservation. Just because I don't have a reservation to this restaurant,
Chef Art Smith's Homecoming,
I can maybe walk up, and get in, or hey, we want to ride Everest, but it's an hour wait. Let's hop in the single rider line, or Rise of the Resistance, Smuggler's Run, something like that. That's why we did Smuggler's Run. We didn't have a lot of time. It was a 45-minute wait, and we're let's just go on the single rider line. We were the only people in there, and we waited 5-10 minutes to kind of get on the ride.
10 minutes would be generous. Well, maybe we stood inside in our group.
Yeah,
probably longer than that, but we waited no more than 5 minutes, probably.
Oh yeah, until they pulled
us into our group. Yeah,
right. So, those type of things, I think, kind of changed.
And we got to do the asteroid field, which I think we've only done that one time before. So like we didn't realize this, but if the ride is not ready to go, they're not ready to like take you out of your ride, there's an extra scene where you're going through an asteroid field.
Yeah, it kind of delays you.
And it delays you, so it makes your ride longer. And so we got to go through the asteroid field, and
We were like, they were attacking us in there. Like, it was a whole additional scene. I think the last time we'd gotten it was just real quick. We were kind of floating in asteroids for, maybe 10 seconds, and then we moved on. Like, this was like they came after us, and we had to fly through the field, and we were, shooting at them and everything. It became a whole additional thing.
Yeah, I wondered why the first time, because I remember that we had done it because our friends Jennifer and Kiefer had done it, and they mentioned it to us, and we're like, whoa, we didn't even know there was an extra scene, and then it happened to us. But I have no recollection of that one whatsoever. But yeah, this one was more prolonged. It was really cool. So yeah, keep an eye out for that next time you ride. Maybe you'll get a chance to do the asteroid field.
Yeah. A couple of things real quick to close. I was there one day when there was an after hours event at Magic Kingdom. Seemed very low crowds. I looked up what the ticket price was. It was $190, which I think is crazy. I think you get like 3 hours. I think you can come in early, but it was from like 10 to 1. Low crowds, obviously, but like that's as much, if not more than
a Disney park ticket,
a single day ticket, which seems kind of crazy to me. Got to see Luminous. We got to see that the new nighttime show at Epcot. I thought it was phenomenal.
Yeah, you loved it.
I thought the first 30 seconds to a minute of it was a stronger theme and tied in better to like what Epcot is about than the entire other show.
Yeah, I think I think thematically with Epcot it fits in really well.
You like the screens and the characters.
I'm a fan. Yeah, I'm more of a fan of the IP. So I'm not one of those people that's like, they're putting too much IP in the parks. Like, I like the IP. I want to see the characters. I want to hear the songs. They did have, I think, You'll Be in My Heart, I think, is in it.
Yeah,
they did have a couple of the like Disney classic, like the Disney songs, but it was not enough for me. So that is a show that honestly I don't care if I see it ever again.
I thought it was great. The countries are kind of included in it.
Oh, that
the
is
theme,
cool. Yeah,
the
that
theme
part was
of it's
cool.
great. Again, it's so Epcot. It's perfect. I absolutely love it.
Actually, okay, now I'm thinking back. It is very touching. It also goes through the entire like life cycle. There was a woman.
Oh yeah.
There was a woman in front of us. I don't know if you noticed this, but there was a woman in front of us who was a little bit older, and she was crying, like, because it goes through like when you lose somebody.
It gets dark.
Like, it gets very dark.
It gets dark,
when you lose people that you love and you feel like you're by yourself, and like she started to like cry, and I was like, I mean, this is really highly relatable to the human experience.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I say I don't care if I ever saw it again, but now that I think about it, I mean,
it's well done. It
is very well done. It's just not. It's not like the happy like Disney magic kind of show.
But that's
it's a
Epcot.
Different type of show.
But that's
yeah.
Epcot. And I think that's where it is. Like, I think the last one, they try to go, hey, Disney character, and it's like, that's not what Epcot is. This is kind of going back. If you want that, go to Happily Ever After.
Go to Fantasmic, where you have the water screens that are huge.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this just fits so well in Epcot. I loved it. So, yeah, I had a lot of fun. I highly recommend leaving your spouse at home, going to Disney by yourself. You're going to have a blast. Yeah, I was worried like I was going to be sad in line and kind of like lonely and bored. But like the crowds weren't too bad. It wasn't very crowded. Like we weren't sure, like with Epic Universe opening, what the crowds were going to be like in a holiday weekend. It really wasn't too bad. So I really wasn't waiting in line very long. So I think that's kind of why, like if I was in line an hour for everything, I think it would have been like, all right, what am I doing? But like I was able to go in the evening. So like one time, like I didn't watch Happily Ever After. I was like, I'm going to go ride all the rides because there's going to have no lines. And I rode like 7 things in like 2 hours. So I wasn't in line that long, or I did the single rider line. So I think that kind of helped, not get bored waiting of like, hey, I don't have somebody here with me. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that maybe would have changed it. But yeah, this is your sign to go book that solo trip. It's a lot of fun. Or you go with 2 people. I think use some of these techniques like you're a solo traveler, and I think you can save time in line, not have to be so scheduled on, I have to make all my reservations, have to do all my lightning lanes, that sort of thing.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think you gave good insight, and also you let everyone know that you don't sugarcoat things to make me feel better.
Exactly. I only tell the truth. I speak the truth. What can I say? Honest to a fault. So that wraps up the show. We'd love to hear from our listeners. Have you taken a solo trip? Are you planning on taking a solo trip? We'd love to kind of hear like what your experience is. Let us know in the comments, or you can let us know on Instagram. We're at Enchanted Ears Podcast over there. But want to thank everybody again for listening. If you've not done so, please leave us a rating or a review. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. It really helps, and we really appreciate it.
Thanks for lending us your ears.
Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you here next Monday.
Bye-bye.